I'm currently a freshman in college. I came home this past week for a funeral. But let's backtrack a little. My senior year in high school, I was in the library during study hall, doing some computer science work on the desktop, since my laptop at home didn't have JCreator on it. Anyway, this boy, who was in my class, sat next to me. Those two computers were the only ones with JCreator. He was a really tall, very pale boy. Long black hair that covered one of his eyes. He wore an anti-flag tee, a ripped jean jacket, and Doc Martens. He never spoke to anyone in class, and I'd never seen him with anyone else. So I took a seat, and he looked up at me, like I'd just committed murder. I quickly looked away, rummaging through my bag as a distraction. As my head was down, I heard him chuckle and then mumble something. Of course, I froze. My head still pointed at my bag. I tried to dismiss it, as if he was just talking to the computer. Coding can get frustrating, right? I sat back up, quickly typed in my login details. Trying to break the awkwardness, I said. She assigns too much homework. I can barely keep up. His eyes didn't move from the screen. You want the answers, don't you? I laughed nervously. No thanks. I won't learn anything that way. Usually, I would have said yes, but I didn't want to see that stare again. It was like he was staring into my soul. He laughed again. That creepy laugh. So unsettling. I had to close my eyes and cringe. I opened them, and he was gone. The strange thing was, he left his flash drive. I waited about 10 minutes, just to see if he'd come back. But he didn't. Study hall ended at 1 o'clock. It was 12:50. I decided I'd take it and give it back to him tomorrow in computer science class. I threw it in a little box above my bed. Gotta admit, it was an awesome flash drive. It was a Swiss Army knife, with the USB stick in the middle. Here's the crazy part. After that, he never came to school again. He was notorious for being absent. So for the first month, no one batted an eye. But then, May rolled around. We were all getting ready to graduate. I had completely forgotten about the flash drive. Until 2 days ago, when I came home, I needed one. And I remembered. I still had that, boys. I scanned it with Norton, *clean star. I was planning to delete all his stuff so I could use it for my business class PowerPoint. Naturally, though, I started snooping through his files. First folder, computer science. I opened it and saw all the answers to every assignment. I thought, damn, maybe that's why he left it. Maybe he knew he was never coming back. Next folder, music. Had to know what he listened to, right? Surprisingly, not what I expected. Only 3 songs. Running on Empty by Jackson Browne, White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane, and Helter Skelter by the Beatles. I went back again. There was an untitled folder. Inside it, AP Literature. Just a bunch of essays and junk. But one stood out. It was called The Best. I opened it. It was just 10 pages. Notebook pages. Filled entirely with his first and last name. Handwritten, over and over. I went back. This is where it gets weird. He'd taken pictures of the emergency escape plans on the doors of every classroom. One was of a lit cigarette on the bathroom floor. Another was some coins. Next to it, a yellow post-it note saying, "Chump change." Now here's the worst part. There was a picture of me, taken while I was reading a book in class. From the looks of it, it was my English class, the one he wasn't even in. And then, there was a document, titled, "Rest in Peace Too." But, when I opened it, it was empty. I still have no idea if this was a joke or not. For all I know, he never showed up again because he realized he lost his hard drive. The darker side of Van State Park. The summer before my senior year, I enlisted in the Army National Guard. So it was important that I worked out, stayed in shape. That day, I asked my best friend Ian if he wanted to run the trails with me after school. He said he would. He likes to work out when he can, too. It was probably about 4 in the afternoon when I pulled into one of the parking lots, waiting for Ian to meet me there. When I saw this old silver car, a bald and just disturbing man, suspiciously sitting in the lot. Knowing that creeps hang out at the park, I glanced over, just to see what he was doing. That's when I noticed. He was staring at me, and he wouldn't stop. It was an unsettling stare, one that made him look hungry, and me, uneasy. His eyes were wide open, and I'm pretty sure he had a frown, or maybe a grin. We made eye contact, and he nodded at me, as if trying to say hello, but he wouldn't drop his glare. I nodded back, but broke eye contact, because at that point, I was getting seriously uncomfortable. Still, out of the corner of my eye, I could see him, still staring. That was it. I had enough. I floored it and sped out of the parking lot. But when I checked my rearview mirror, he was following me. I slammed the gas and drove straight to my high school parking lot, where I finally lost him. I called Ian and told him I was at the high school, and that he might have to deal with this creep alone. Then my stomach sank. I got a text from Ian. It said, "Here." I headed back. And sure enough, right when I pulled in, I saw Ian's car. And just 2 spaces away, the bald guy, in the same silver car, still staring. I nodded to Ian, told him to follow me to a different parking lot in the park. We made our way over there. We were safe, or so we thought. Got out of our cars, walked down the hill to check out the trails before we ran them. I don't like to run with things in my pockets, so we turned around and started walking back up the hill. That's when we saw the old silver car circling in the lot, looking for us. But from the angle we were at on the hill, he couldn't see us. We waited. We figured, 2 of us, both athletes, we could take this one guy if it came to that. By the time we reached the top of the hill, he was gone. Feeling safe again, Ian and I decided to run the trails anyway. But I made sure to pick up a rock, just for peace of mind, in case we ran into that creep in the woods. Because I'll never know what his intentions were. But given the park's reputation and his look, it couldn't have been anything good. These days, I've graduated Vanban. I'm an infantryman in the National Guard, and I attend Bowling Green State University. But sometimes, when I go back home, I still go for drives at night. Sometimes, I check the state park, just to see what monsters still lurk there. I'm always armed now, in shape, prepared, but that feeling never really goes away. And I'm sure, one of these nights, I'll encounter something like that again. But trust me, as soon as I do, I'm hightailing it out of there. So if you're planning on going camping or hiking in state parks, make sure you're armed, know how to defend yourself, and never, ever, go alone. In my room, next to my bed, is a big storage closet. It doesn't have a normal door like you'd expect. It's this big square panel, no knob, just a flat board that pulls off if you grab it by the edges. Now rewind a few years. I was 19. I remember the first time it happened. I went to sleep and woke up in the morning to find the door leaning on the wooden edge of my bed. It wasn't the strangest thing ever. It had happened before. After all, there were no hinges or anything keeping the door in place. So I pushed the door back into the wall, got ready for school. The next night, I woke up around 4 in the morning. I could have sworn I heard a noise. I sat up, looked around in the dark, and noticed the door again, leaning on the edge of my bed. Now I was concerned. Maybe the edges of the wall hole were chipping. Maybe the door just didn't fit as snug as it used to. I left it that way for the night. Fixed it in the morning. The night after that, I had trouble sleeping. 2 hours of tossing and turning. That's when I heard it. A loud thump. And I knew what it was. Even in the dark, I could see it. The door had fallen open, again. I was done. Mentally checked out. Decided to just leave it open from now on. That's when I heard it. The faintest, plastic bag rustling. From inside the closet. My heart skipped. Literally skipped a beat. There was no draft. No reason for that sound. I hesitantly reached over and flicked the light switch. I looked inside. And my biggest fear came true. There was someone inside the closet, peering at me from the darkness. Within half a second of the light coming on, he ducked like I didn't see him. I couldn't move. Couldn't even breathe. I just screamed. "Dad!" I screamed so loud, my dad came running. Took him maybe 10 seconds to reach my room. I pointed at the closet, and only then did I move. I got up and stood behind him. My dad crawled all the way in, but he didn't find anyone. He came back out, said I must have imagined it. And for a moment, I started to believe that, too. Still, I didn't sleep in my room. I laid on the floor in my parents' room with a blanket. But I wouldn't say I slept, because before I could even doze off, we heard it. My bedroom door opening from down the hall. Then, footsteps. Someone running. Down the stairs. Out the front door. Slam. My parents heard it. And only then, they believed me. We all tried to chase him down. But he was gone. Later, we found out he'd been hiding in an empty container inside the closet.